Hello, welcome to Save the Singles platform. My name still remains Prophetess Happiness Michael Ebube, your role model. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about you need this fight. There are fights that is very necessary, very important. And we have a lot of people that went into marriage, they did not fight this fight, and that fight became a storm today in their marriage. Sometime when you get into marriage, you heard somebody say this word, my wife was not like this when I got married to her. They come up again with a statement say somebody spoiled her. Another said my husband was not like this when I got married to him. It is that his friend that spoiled him. The question is that not that your wife was not like that, not that your husband was not like that. The reason was because there are some fights that you refused to fight at that moment. Why? Because you were building yourself on this word, I don't want trouble. So you get into that marriage and you see some certain things going wrong and you're just like, I don't want trouble. I don't need problem. I don't want my husband to be angry with me. No, I don't want to hurt my wife. Then you put up these reasons and put it at the table. You avoid the fight that you are supposed to fight at a very early stage to put your marriage in order. You avoid it. Now let me tell you something. The snake that appeared in Genesis was the same snake that become a dragon in Revelation. So if you don't deal with the snake in Genesis, he will end up becoming a dragon in Revelation. So you gotta deal with those things that need to be dealt with when you get into your marriage at a very early age. Now look at this. For example, now you get married and your spouse just came up with one thing after 1 week, 2 weeks of your marriage. There is something he expected you to do and you don't like doing that thing. Number two, you know that thing is not good and you pretended to do it. You need this fight in that marriage. For example, your spouse could come up, maybe your husband will come up and say, your wife will come up and say he need an oral things. You know that this is not healthy. And that oral things he's talking about, he picked it from his ex. He may be that he's not even that person. And you saw this attitude coming into your marriage, maybe after a few weeks of your marriage. You got to stand up and say no. When he didn't want to agree, shout, let the people come and ask him what did he want. She will not allow him to talk what he wants now. He would just come up and after everybody said to, he said, nothing, no, my wife has not been giving me food. If that's the truth, go and cook now, let's see. You will now cook and bring it at the table. And people will say, but I saw your wife cooking. He will not be able to say it. So from that fight at that moment, you have been able to shut down that door instead of that snake to grow up and become a dragon in your house. Many times it could be that a friend has just introduced your husband to, what is it called, a coupon. You know, coupon now has come a new name. He has upgraded and updated. They may call it a bed whatever. So at this point in time, you know that all your incomes is going on there even before the salary landed. You got to stand up at that moment and fight this fight. Because if that thing grows and becomes a strength in your home, you will not be having any feeding money again. Children's school fees will be diverted. A lot of things will be diverted. So you need this fight at this time in that home. If you allow it to grow up and become the dragon, you will not be able to drive it again. You will not be able to solve that problem at that moment. You get married to your wife. At the moment your wife comes, he's bringing elderly woman as a friend, single girl as a friend, teenagers as a friend. You come back every evening and so your house is filled up like a marketplace. What are they doing just to talk about innocent people that are just passing on their own? Sir, you need this fight at that moment. Lift up your voice, own up, tell her first, dear, I don't like seeing people like this at home. I don't like such visitor. Can we please end this? When you say it one time, say it 2 times, say it 3 times, she did not stop. Say it 4th time, she did not stop. You can even go as far telling the people, please, don't be coming to my house again. Fight that fight at that moment, end it at that moment, or else, guess what will happen? One day, your wife will leave the baby in the bedroom until the child sleep and fell down from the bed. You are still talking in the parlor. You need that fight at that moment. You discover that your wife likes owing credit. Even though the whole money in her hands, she went to buy something, and at the end of the day, he will tell the woman, I will come to pay with money in her hands. So, and you just discover it's a character. She likes buying clothes without having money. The one she has not finished wearing it, but she likes owing credit. Sir, you need that fight at that moment. Fight it and make sure she stops those habits because it's not needed in your home. It shouldn't be a thing that when you just pass by, they say, look at that one, or the wife is owing me so thousands of money, and look at how they are working. You don't need those disgrace. You don't need those battles. So at the early stage, you find out there is this character in the life of your wife that she likes buying things even when she's not using it. Even when she had money to pay, it could be a habit that she just like owing. Then you have to stop this habit. You need this fight in your home at the early stage. If you can fight it at the period of that your 1 year that you guys just get married, that your 1st year, 2nd year, and cut off all these things, it will never grow up and becomes a problem in your home. It will never cause a broken home at the next, maybe in your 4th year or 5th year of your marriage. You now said you are tired and all that. There are fights that is necessary in your marriage at the very early stage, at the 1st year, 2nd year. Fight it until you make sure that you end it. Let me tell you something. Even if NEPAs give light in this whole environment, if you don't on your light in your room, the light will never shine. No matter how NEPA give light, there is full current, there is a light in your home. You need to do a work. You need to add your own energy for you to have light. By going to on the bulb, you have to on the socket for the light to show up. You have to on the television for the light to show up. So when you get married, you need to add value. You need to do this job for your marriage to be successful. Fight the fight that is necessary and fight it on time. Fight the fight that is necessary and do it at the time that you know it is right for you to do it. So fight the fight and make sure that she stops that habit in your home because it is not needed. You can't continue living that life and expect to have a successful marriage. I'm going to tell you the truth, you won't have a successful marriage if you keep on sweeping everything that happened under the carpet. No, you fight to have a solution. You don't hide it because one day it will become a heap of trouble and it will overwhelm you and you will not be able to handle it again. At that moment where you guys just get married, just sit down and draw up and say, okay, I don't like this, and this one said I don't like this. Then you fight it at that moment. I don't want you to just like, I don't want to hurt him, or she said I don't want to hurt him, or he said I don't want to hurt her. I just want my wife to be happy. Good. That has caused a lot of trouble. It has caused a lot of pains in marriage because others people that got married just actually said the same thing. But today, where are they? The problem became severe. The character increases in every blessed day and it becomes a huge problem. So when you get married as a single person, I'm standing here as your role model to tell you there are fights you need to fight at the very early stage that will be of help to you, that will be of a good benefit to you in your marriage. This will assist you to build up the foundation of your marriage and make your marriage work out for you. End up things that need to end up on time. Sometimes you could get into marriage and your husband will want to practice what his friend is doing. Sometimes your wife will want to practice what his friend is doing. But man, you're going to say that this is not our standard. Your standard is different from what his friend or her friend are doing. So build up your own standard. Don't welcome every chaff, everything that they just brought into the marriage. Don't welcome everything. Fight it and end it. There are some women you see, they will leave their house and go and stay with friends. They can stay there till the husband come back from work. Hell, man, you just have to tell her that this is not welcome right here in this home. Even if it might have been the character she has lived with before, but now this is marriage. You are no longer living with your parents. You are no longer living alone. This is marriage. So you have to fight it until she stops going out and sit with friends, hang out with friends, and come back late in the night. You have to fight this fight because it is very, very important. Many of us, it could be our family, it could be our relations that will come in unnecessarily. Maybe not just coming in is the issue, but they want to make sure that they cause a problem in that home. You really need to stand up at that moment and fight that fight and tell your spouse, this person is going to break our home. This person is going to cause a problem in our home. Okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. We don't need this at this point in time in this marriage. Fight this fight. Sometimes you see that, for example, you get married. I've seen somebody that get married and almost 8 people from his wife's place come and stay with him. For crying out loud. Some of these 8 people, I can remember some of the guys were very grown men and they do not want to do anything. They're going to wake up in the morning and sit down. The husband will give them money to go and barb hair, give them money to go and buy clothes, give them money to go and do this. Guess what? When you ask them, why is your brother not working? They will tell you that they were wealthy till their father died. For God's sake. You were wealthy. Your father, you guys were rich, right? But you're no longer rich. You're talking about the past glory. So because your father was wealthy before he died, the husbandman that just come in had to come and carry the cross of the father and until he died too. This is going to cause depression. It's going to make your husband work an extra work that is not needed for his health and now have to take care of 8 people in the family. Sir, at the moment one person came, 2, 3, 4, and you see the number is increasing, and you know that you're suffocating. This thing is weighing you down. You need to own up and fight this fight. Don't tell yourself that you don't want to hurt anybody. If you don't want to hurt anybody, you are hurting yourselves. So you really need to end up this whole thing on time and take care of this marriage so that your marriage can be healthy. At last, if depressions, stress of taking care of this home and school fees and your wife and all that, mature people that came to sit down without doing anything, at least even though they cannot do any other thing, they can actually do car wash. They can do small business, and you're going to take care of them 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. They are all there sitting down every time they wake up and said, brother this and brother that. Let me tell you something. By the time you put your energy struggling all this struggle, you will die premature and leave the same woman as a widow. What will now happen at the end of the day? There are things you throw into your system that is not needed. At that moment, fight that fight. If you allow it to linger, if you allow it to linger and get to the point that you cannot shut it down again, it will becomes an issue anytime you make a step to dismiss them. It will becomes a problem. At that moment, guess what they are going to say? You don't love my family. But if you fought it at that early stage, such a statement wouldn't have come. If you fought it at that early stage when they start coming and you said, dear, I don't need this. The house is too full. Sometimes the house is not even enough for the people. You got to call this fight at the same time that this thing is happening. Don't allow it to get mature. Don't allow it to put roots on the ground and have his balance. Don't allow it to have a structure. Don't let it have a foundation before you want to strike. Anything that has been rooted on the ground, you cannot just easily pull it that way. At the moment when the seed is landing on the ground, before he germinated and become a tree, pull it and said, we don't need this one in this marriage. There are things that is not needed in marriage, and end it on time. Fight it on time. Don't just say you don't want to hurt anybody. You have to hurt the person if you really love the person. And if you love yourself, then you need to hurt the person so that you can move on to a better marriage. I just pray that this message help you to arrange yourself, to fix up yourself, and know that when you get into marriage, there are cries that you need to cry. There are fights that you need to fight. If he needs you to kneel down and say, please, don't do it again. Let us end this thing. Kneel down. If it takes you to get angry, fight it. If it takes for you to call your husband attention or your wife attention and say, sit down, let's talk about this issue, please do it on time. Don't allow it linger. Your wife is in your home, is taking an information from his mother. He has to know if he should I wash my husband's clothes? If the mother said, don't wash, Una said, no, you did not carry me here. I'm not a slave in your house, so I did not come here to be a dry cleaner, because that is what the mother said. Then she comes to establish that authority in your house. No. You're going to call it off and fight that fight. You're going to tell her, you see, in this house, I am the head. You don't need to take an instruction from your mother. So fight that fight at that moment. Take instruction from me. You are now under my government. I am now the head of this house. You are no longer in your mother's government. You are no longer in the roof of your mother. You are now married. I am your husband. You are my wife. So you take an instruction from me. Not that when you want to cook, mommy, what should I cook? Should I do a olubu soup? Or should I do white soup? The mother will not give an instruction. Okay, just do a olubu soup. Then tomorrow you will call, mommy, I want to go to the market. Then she take instruction from her mother and come to that. My husband said I should escort her to the friend's house. Should I go? Should I not go? The mother will say, okay, you can go, but when you go, sit like this. So when you get there, if they give you water, don't drink. If they give you food, don't drink. Just be careful so that nobody will poison you. She will not have to go there and sit like a manicure. You need to do all this on time. Fight this fight when it is needed. Fight it on time. Fight it when it's necessary. What you don't need in your home, make sure you cut it off and build a standard. It is very important. Don't do it the way our mother did. Because of that, they live in pain throughout their marriage life. So don't live in pain throughout your marriage life. Arrange things that need to be arranged and do it on time. So always understand, as a single person, when you get into marriage, there are fights that you need to fight. That fight is necessary. That fight is important. That fight is not to break your home, but this particular fight is to make your home, arrange your home, and make you live in peace and be happily married. If you fight it 1 or 2 times, you see that the whole thing will end. Then you guys will now live a peaceful life, and that will not occur again. So it's good to end it on time. I pray that this message help you as a single person, that when you walk in there, you will now remember my role model tells me something, that there are fights that I need to fight in my first year of marriage, and that is very important. If you fight it, it won't occur again in your 20 years. It will not occur again in your 15 years. So it's very important when you get in there, fight this important fight. It is necessary. And the Lord God will help you. It will bless you. You will be happily married and smile in your marriage. Your marriage will be successful if you hearken to this instruction, to this advice, to this directive I give to you. Your marriage will not end like others, our forefathers' own. You'll be able to get it right. May the Lord God strengthen you as you go into that marriage, and may your marriage be successful. Amen.